Well, here we are. That took a long time. Welcome to part 2, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Boy, it took almost 3 months to get this Colt sorted out. But here we are. I'm relieved. I'm excited. There's a lot to talk about, man. I've got so many videos planned for this gun just this week alone. But we got to start off with part 2 because, man, it's been such a long time since part 1. Now, I want to tell you, if you didn't watch part 1, I recommend you go check it out. That'll give you a lot of context and history of what happened here, but I'm going to give you the briefest recap here that I can. Basically, I was surfing Midway, USA. And guys, I am a sucker for 1911s that have two things going for them. That they have a blued finish and a standard ejection port. Boy, it's hard for me to say no when you got those two things going for it. The added bonuses are straight slide serrations, and it's got the pony on it. Boy, that's hard to resist. That's really hard to resist. So I saw this thing surfing Midway, USA, and as I told you in part 1, Colt didn't do a press release about this gun. There's no articles. There's nothing on their website. Literally, the model number on Colt's own website comes up empty with this gun. But what I came to realize, there's a few forums that talked about this and one knowledgeable video that gave even a fraction of useful information told me what this is. And essentially, this is a Mark IV reissue. Now, for those of you who may not know, the Mark IV is a legendary Colt pistol from the 70s. It is so woven into our culture, specifically the gun culture. It's just a really important pistol in history. Very popular, and these things hold their value. The ones from the 70s sell for more with thousands of rounds through them than this thing did new. So what makes this gun a little bit unique is you have the original Colt Mark IV Series 70 roll marks, and they are actual roll marks, not laser etching. They're raised, you can feel them, and boy, do they look good. You also have the standard ejection port, simple text, Colt government model. You've got a very basic GI setup sight picture. Now, these are sort of a tall, and the front sight is wide, so a very modern front sight, and they're very plain, but they're close enough to the old thing, but I'm going to leave them for now. It also had the Type E hammer, and these originally come with an arched mainspring housing and a short trigger with actually some really nice rosewood double diamond grips, which is not really an original thing, but I actually think these grips are quite nice. So at the bare minimum, this is an awesome platform to build off of for whatever you want to do with it. So I saw this thing on Midway. I had to do it. It wasn't the wisest choice in the world, but I had to do it because this is the gun that you can turn into an heirloom. This is the one. So I got it, and the gun showed up, and as you guys saw in part 1, half the rifling was missing from the barrel. Super disappointed. So I called Colt. Colt picked up the phone, and an American guy named Steve helped me out. I was shocked, and they sent me an RMA immediately, and off to Colt it went. As you guys well know, 3 months went by. Well, let's be fair. A little more than 2.5 months went by, which is still too long, might I add. And I heard almost nothing. I had to hound them constantly via email and phone to get this thing to move. And finally, it showed up today. I'm super relieved. And just so you know, they did the right thing. They put in a new barrel, and I think a better barrel than what was originally spec'd out for this gun. Now, a lot of people said that these come with national match barrels. The original barrel just said Colt 45 Auto on the top. This one actually says Colt 45 Auto NM. So I don't think the original was a national match. This one is, and the rifling is very prominent and sharp. In fact, I bought a spare Colt barrel, a blued barrel, just to have ready in case they didn't do the right thing and give me a new barrel. And it's just a standard, same thing, Colt 45 Auto. The rifling in this one is way more prominent and sharp in this barrel than in the other one. So I really do believe this is an actual national match barrel. I don't think the original came with that. So now that the gun's here, man, I'm so thrilled. Let me run you through where we're at and how it sits today. So basically, this gun is very stock. I have done almost nothing to it, even though it looks very different from the way it came. So pretty much everything I've done is visual and comfort. There's no functional changes to this gun. It has the Colt National Match barrel. It has the original Type E hammer. Now, what I did do on this one is I polished the sides and took off the bluing, and I left the bluing on the rest of it, just because the original 70s Mark IVs had that look, and boy, with a aluminum trigger, it just pops. I think it looks great. So that came out really nice. It has the original slide pin, thumb safety, grip safety, sear, disconnector. Everything on the inside is the same. Now, the trigger, the way it showed up, was terrible. The original trigger shoe, which was a short trigger, was super floppy. The floppiest of any pistol I have ever touched. It was so poorly fit. And then on top of that, the sear, which, look, I can't talk about here on YouTube, and I can't even show you how it was fixed. But suffice it to say, the sear, the way it showed up, was just one flat surface on the top. And it's supposed to have a very specific angle and then a little relief cut on the other side. Now it feels a lot better, let's put it that way. But I was able to retain the original internal components, and it feels great. Now, this does have an Ed Brown flat mainspring housing, just smooth blued. This is my preferred mainspring housing. And then I also put on my preferred trigger, which is a Harrison medium smooth trigger. As of now, the trigger is a very GI feeling trigger. You've got a little bit of take up, hard wall, press, press, press. Maybe there's some creep in there, but it's really, really minimal. Nice break. The reset is loud. It's auditory. It's visual. It's tactile. I mean, this is a good feeling trigger, and it's new. So the more it gets shot, the more it'll wear in. It's not perfect on the bench, but you really don't want to go for perfection on the bench, in my opinion. I like to get things about 95% and then shoot them through the rest of the way so it wears in a little more naturally. Now, the only other thing that I had to fix was the safety was absolutely impossible to work. It was just terrible. The thumb safety, that is. Essentially, this little angle right here that the detent slides over as you actuate, and deactivate the safety was just way too sharp. It was way too sharp. It was gritty, and it had a big burr on it. So I was able to profile that over, and now it has a nice, easy flick up, a little bit of play in between, very positive click down with a little bit of over travel. So don't love that, but overall, we're going to leave it how it is for now. Okay, I know what you're waiting for. I can feel it. I can hear you yelling. The grips. We got to talk about the grips. And the holster. We're going to get to the holster. That's going to be the last thing. So these are MD grips, and I kept the box up here because I really hope you guys go visit them. They don't know who I am. I'm not sponsored by them at all. They gave me nothing. I'm just a fan of their grips. These grips are so well done. Their website's very simple. It has very simple instructions, and they just come across as very warm people in every interaction. So these grips are beautiful. They're one of a kind. You go on their website, you pick out the pair that you like, and that actual pair shows up. So I went with these, and they are just perfect. I couldn't ask for them to be better. They just complete this build so well, and they give it the personality, the personal touch, and that heirloom quality that only my family will ever have on these grips. Boy, they're just special. They're really special. Now, something I did do, and this was on the advice of several people that I know that have, used bone grips for quite a long time. One is I put a very light sheen of grease on the frame underneath these grips. And then I took the grips and I melted beeswax and put a very even, thin layer of beeswax on the grips themselves, fixed them to the pistol. I put on my normal O-rings, my rubber O-rings, and I tightened the screws down a little more than I normally would, because really these grips need to never come off, or as little as possible. So I wanted to put the beeswax on there to prevent moisture from getting behind them and, just protect the gun underneath, and also protect the grips, because you got to be careful with bone. They can crack if you abuse them. They're not the most durable grip on the planet. But guys, keep in mind, I am not going to concealed carry this gun. I am not going to take this thing to some crazy gun course. This is the barbecue gun. This is the heirloom. it's not going to get, it's not even going to get shot a lot. So, you know, I'm sure everybody's going to have a lot of suggestions for that, but this is what I went with. And I'm really happy with how it's sealed. When I pressed the grips on, I had a nice ring of wax pop out on all sides, so I know it's sealed up really thoroughly, and I was able to just take my nylon brush and brush that off. So really happy with how that came out. Now, they feel, I mean, guys, there's no good adjectives I can throw out for you to really understand how cool these things feel. They feel so good. There's a little bit of grip texture, but oh my gosh, they just feel incredible. Absolutely incredible. They look as good as they feel, let's put it that way. Now the holster, this is the Galco Speed Paddle 2.0. It is the Longmire holster. That's what it is. We all know that's what it is. So I got this holster just for this Colt. And this holster, like the pistol, is not going to get used a lot. It belongs to this gun. And I think it's a really well done holster. The leather is very thick. It feels very tough. And the fit is excellent with this gun. So I cannot wait to take this to the range tomorrow and run it through a little bit. Now, before we hit the range, and that will be in this video, just give me another minute. I want to talk briefly about my initial impressions of this gun and just the overall fit and build quality of a Colt 1911 in modern day. Overall, I'm going to say the fit and build quality is pretty poor. And to really illustrate this, I'm going to bring in two pistols that some guys are going to get pissed that I'm even doing this in this video, but I have my TSOS 1911s. This gun has about 3,000 rounds through it, a little bit more. This gun is a better fit pistol and a better built pistol than this one is, and it has 0 rounds through it. The trigger was gritty, the shoe was floppy, the safety was absolutely terrible. The slide to frame fit is not even as good, even after all the rounds on this gun. I mean, look, and this is something that I don't even care about. I'm just bringing it up because it illustrates a point. But, man, I'm not going to lie. These Colts are really poorly put together. However, the bones are there. And if you're somebody like me who doesn't mind putting in the work and honing them in and really getting them set up properly, it's not that big of a deal. I knew what I was getting into. Well, not quite with the rifling thing, but I knew what I was getting into with the poorly fit guns. But you just need to be aware that these guns, compared to some other offerings that are out there, I'm not going to lie, the initial impression on total build quality is pretty low. Now, am I saying this is a bad gun? Absolutely not. I don't think Colt is building quote-unquote bad guns. This is the way I view Colt. I view them the way I view these. This is my brand new Colt, or, well, built by Uberti, but it's a Colt design, 1851 Navy. And here's the deal with these. It took me 3 hours to take this gun apart, clean it, deburr it, tune it, do a little fitting. Now it's ready to go. Now, for a lot of people, that sounds like hell on earth, and they would be totally just on principle alone against that thought, okay? And I understand that. I'm not that guy, though. I don't mind spending a little bit of time getting a gun honed in if the important things are there. I'm the kind of guy who I don't mind putting in the work to make it the way I want. And here's the truth. All said, guys, for everything I've done to this, getting it sort of fixed, correcting the problems, and then, you know, putting in the comfort features that I like, I've got like 2 hours of labor in total. That's not the end of the world for a gun that's going to last generations. Now, do I think for over $1,000 this gun should have come set up as good as I just set it up? Absolutely. I shouldn't have had to do any of this because, again, just to add insult back in here, this gun, before I did anything to it, came set up leaps and bounds better than this one did out of the box. Just the basic from the factory fit and finish was way better on the TSOS. You know, people get really angry with me when I say anything negative about their gun, or maybe a gun they really look up to or have dreamed about. And guys, look, we have to tell the truth. But what you guys need to realize is all the guns that I say negative things about, I own. I bought them with my own money, and I'm keeping them. I don't just get these guns, trash them, and then give them away to get views. I'm just telling you the truth about the legit negatives that exist in these guns because I want to tell the truth. If you want videos that are just gushing on your gun so you feel better, that's not this channel. I'm going to do everything I can to just be honest with you guys. And so I want to tell you up front, if you're going to get a Colt nowadays, be prepared to get it tuned up a little bit. Now, there's guys out there who are watching this who are in my chat, talked on part 1, that they got some of these guns or ones like them from Colt and haven't had any problems. And genuinely, I'm happy for you. That's your experience should have been my experience. And I want that for you. I want you to have a good experience. But I'm just telling you the experience I had. So there we go, guys. Overall, I'm excited. Let's go to the range. Let's see how this thing shoots, and then we'll wrap it up on the back end. All right, everybody. There is the shooting portion. So here's my range report. I want to start with the bad stuff first off. It was not a perfect day. It did run everything, but there was some weird stuff that happened, and I want to run through that really quickly. So first of all, within my first magazine, I had some weird stuff go on. First of all, when going to chamber around, I had a failure to go into battery. Don't know why. Not really thinking too hard about it because it only happened once. It did not happen for the other 180 rounds, but I'm just telling you, it happened. The next thing that happened in that same magazine was I got a failure to lock back. And that one I actually captured on camera where, mashed the trigger, hammer dropped, and when I went to go pull the slide back and then drop the magazine was stuck. And that was with the Colt magazine. Now, these magazines are made in the same factory as my beloved Springfield magazines. So they look identical. They feel identical. I don't know what the deal is, but that happened. So I don't know if those two first issues are related to the magazine, but there you go. Those two things happened. Now, also in the first magazine, I got hit in the bridge of the nose with casings like 4 or 5 times. And I mean right between the eyes, which is not a pleasant experience. In fact, you can even see on the top of the slide here, hopefully, you can see some brass staining on the gun. And I left it there so you could see that for whatever reason, I had a lot of brass literally ejecting straight up and straight back. So to me, that screams extractor. So I went ahead and took it apart in the field. I gave it a bend on the bed of the pickup truck. No, I didn't use my Smack Your Mommy-O-meter. I didn't measure it. I didn't pull out the crystals and rub them together. I just put a little bit more of a bend in it, enough to know that it's there, and threw it in the gun. Everything else worked fine the rest of the day. So I know there's people shooting blood out of their eyes right now because I didn't put on my leather apron and, pull out my spectrometer and measure it, but who cares? It worked. So the actual shooting experience was great. The elk grips felt just fantastic. I mean, boy, what a wonderful experience and fun time shooting this thing. I'm not a fan of the sights at all. I'm resisting the urge to immediately have this slide sent off somewhere and get some proper sights on there because these sights are just weird. They're just big black blocks, and I don't know. My eye just doesn't like them. They feel imprecise and doofy. I don't know how else to describe it, but I really don't like the sights. So very likely those are going to get changed here in short order. So just a couple more issues. One is the hammer. I noticed that the face of the hammer is rusting. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but I don't know what that's about. I don't like it. Little frustrated there on that piece. The trigger itself, the trigger brake, is still not where I want it to be. I did have to adjust the over travel adjustment screw a couple times and really, sneak up on where I wanted it, but it's still got some unwelcome creep, and I don't want to go immediately taking the gun apart and trying to fix that right now. I'm just going to keep dry firing it with snap caps and see if I can get it to fix itself a little bit. And I really want to be careful and slow to sneak up on that finished product and not get in a hurry, because that's where you make mistakes, and there's no turning back at that point. I will also say I need to further adjust the safety. So the up is perfect. The down is still a little heavy. Again, that's another one you want to kind of go slow and don't get frustrated and be patient, because, just by using it, you can usually wear those in a little bit. But turning that safety off is still a little bit too stiff for my taste. Let's talk about this barrel. So the barrel, I did notice, does have a little lateral play. Up and down is pretty solid, but left or right, it's got a little bit of play between the barrel and the bushing. And then pushing down on the barrel hood, it does have a slight bit of play. I said it in the first part of this video, I do not believe for a second that they fitted this barrel. I think they threw it in the gun and sent it out the door. There's a lot of indicators of that, and that's fine. It's solid enough. It's not a big deal, but again, for Colt claiming what they claim, saying that the barrels are all fitted, I don't believe it. Not for a second. In fact, when you just inspect the barrel, it all has perfect machine marks all over it consistently. So it looks well done, but I just don't believe for a second it was fitted. It's also worth pointing out that the bluing on the barrel, literally the first day I got it back, I pulled the slide back and the barrel immediately scrubbed off the bluing. This to me seems like they had a barrel that had a blued barrel portion, but they didn't have a barrel with a blued hood, because the wear on the front of the barrel makes sense. It's very minimal. I mean, I only shot 180 rounds today, but on the hood, it's like immediately scrubbed off a lot of bluing. And just to contrast that, this is what about 800 rounds looks like on the TSOS. Very different. Now, is it the end of the world? No, I'm just pointing out that, you know, it's another annoying thing that I'm dealing with Colt, and it is what it is. So at the end of the day, I will say I'm happy with the Colt. It's just going to take more time to really hone it in and get it to where I want it to be. But I will say I'm a little frustrated because I haven't had to work this hard on getting a 1911 where I want it to be in a long time. My Cimarron, my TSOS guns, my Springfields, the Kimber, every single one, it was like a couple hours on an afternoon, and it was where I wanted it to be. This one, it's not getting there. It's taken a lot more work to get it correct, and so it's a little frustrating because this is supposed to be the gold standard. It's supposed to be the benchmark, and unfortunately, it's not anymore. There's a lot of companies doing it better. Now, again, I want to reiterate, because I can already hear the Colt loyalist aggressively thrashing their keyboard. I still like it. I'm going to keep it. But I shouldn't have had to do this much work and continue to keep working on it to get it where it should be. So overall, guys, that is the Colt Mark IV build. There will be another video in the future. I'll do another update. I am going to keep shooting it. Not a ton, because, again, this is not a gun that I'm going to try to rag out. But I'll do another update. I'll let you guys know when I do some different sights and get the trigger dialed in a little bit better, and, you know, just tell you how it aged and go from there. So really hope you guys enjoyed that. It's been a long time coming to get this gun here and actually finally get it to the range. And I got to say, once we got things figured out, it ran 180 rounds, no problem. And it was a joy to shoot. Everything ran great. So from the end user standpoint, it ran pretty well, and you got to be happy with that. So other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. It's a beautiful gun. Boy, does she look good. Happy with that piece for sure. So there you go. That is the Colt Mark IV. I'll see you guys on the next one.